Number 1 versus number 2 in the Big Ten, 3 and 4 in the country, did not disappoint. How does it set us up for the rest of the Big Ten schedule and a Week 7? Welcome to the Voice of College Football and our Big Ten rankings for this week following Iowa's narrow escape against Penn State at home, 23-20. All right, let's look at the Big Ten power rankings. Starting from the bottom, please like the video, share the video out on social media, and please subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football. Northwestern is deplorable, awful. Coming off a bye week, so they did not lose this past weekend after a 56-7 demolition at the hands of Nebraska in Lincoln, giving up 657 yards of total offense. Ryan Helinski, the third selection and quarterback, the South Carolina transfer by way of Washington State, 25 of 39 against the Huskers, playing some decent football. He's experienced, if nothing else, and the Wildcats will step back into Big Ten play. Again, they are 2-3, but the performance much, much worse than that. They gave up 30 points in the first half against Duke. We talked about a 7-touchdown loss against a 3-4 Nebraska team. Northwestern just not cycling up this year. Pat Fitzgerald's going to try to salvage something here in 2021, and he is one of the best in the business to do so. At number 13, we've got Illinois. The Illini were shut out against Wisconsin, and the offense was beyond anemic. It was atrocious. They had 93 yards of total offense in this game. 93 yards of total offense for Illinois against Wisconsin, and they only ran 47 plays in the game. Illinois' got a bye week to try to improve in any such way. Brett Bielema's team is now at 2-5. They take on Penn State on the road the following week. At number 12, we've got one of the more disappointing teams in all of college football. Indiana's 2-3 coming off a bye week. Michael Penix has been ruled out indefinitely, not necessarily ruled out for this next Saturday's football game against Michigan State in Bloomington, because I just was watching Tom Allen's news conference. But Penix out indefinitely, but not necessarily ruled out for this Saturday's game against Michigan State. Possibly enter the Utah transfer and former 4-star Jack Tuttle, who we've seen on the field quite a bit for Indiana in Penix's absence over the past few years. Hit on 61% of his passes last year, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick in 2020. Indiana taking on Michigan State, and the Hoosiers look to have embarked on a lost season. At number 11, you got Purdue at 3-2, came very close to upping their record to 4-1, but blew a 3-point halftime lead against Minnesota at home. So it's Purdue at Iowa as the Boilers come off a bye week as well, with Aiden O'Connell taking over the starting quarterback position from Jack Plummer, and David Bell, of course, one of the best wide receivers in college football. At number 11, we've got the Wisconsin Badgers, one of the more odd teams in college football, top 5 defense in the nation, but of course just can't get out of their way offensively. Even in a 24-0 win against Illinois, it was pretty shaky offensively in that effort as the Badgers moved to 2-3. They did run 80 plays to Illinois' 47, 491 yards offensively to 93 for Illinois, so a complete domination at the line of scrimmage. Ches Malusi ran for 141 yards, and Braylon Allen 131, as Jake Ferguson broke Lee Evans' long-standing mark with a catch in his 39th consecutive game for Wisconsin as the Badgers move on to 2-3. They've got a date outside the conference against 4-1 Army this Saturday. At number 9, we got a team that won its first 3, then ran into a buzzsaw in the Big Ten Eastern Division. And, of course, we're talking Rutgers at 3-3. The Scarlet Knights lose to Michigan State 31-13 at home in this past edition. No Bo Melton in that game. Rutgers losing to Michigan, Ohio State, and Michigan State the past 3 weeks after a nice little 3-0 start. Now rank number 9 in our Big Ten power rankings. Succeeded by Nebraska at number 8, one of the more curious teams in all of college football. The Huskers' record on the surface, 3-4. They're 1-2 in the Big Ten. But, man, they look like a decent team, don't they? Under Scott Frost, they're 0-9 against ranked teams, and they lose another one against Michigan. But, man, it was a good game, and they came back from 13-0 down at halftime, took a lead at 29-26, and then lost on 2 late Jake Moody field goals. Adrian Martinez, again, with a game on the line, coughed it up. Turnovers have plagued his career, and once again, with the opportunity for a breakthrough win against Michigan. They have not had this kind of win in years and years and years and years at Nebraska. Adrian Martinez fumbles the football. And again, Scott Frost said after the game, he said, basically, this just keeps happening. Something happens every time. Something just keeps happening. If I believed in jinxes, I would say that this team is jinxed. They're playing so much better football. They have played 3 really high-caliber teams the last 3 weeks. Aside from the Northwestern game, the last 3 losses, Oklahoma 23-16, Michigan State, a team that they did not give up a first down to defensively in the second half, but gave up the punt return with 3.5 minutes left to play to lose the game, and lose in overtime on an Adrian Martinez turnover in the red zone, of course. And so Scott Frost on one hand said, I was sure this was our night, but something just keeps happening. Huskers at 3-4 take on Minnesota this Saturday. At number 7, we've got Maryland at 4-2. Much like Rutgers, it's been 2 different seasons for the Terps. They do have a decent win against West Virginia, week 1. They've got a Big Ten win against Illinois with a late field goal, 20-17. Then they ran into Iowa and Ohio State, 51-14, 66-17, obliterated by the Buckeyes in Columbus this past weekend. Maryland's got a bye. Then they take on Minnesota on the road, hoping to improve that 4-2 record. Speaking of which, the Gophers, talk about up and down, the number 6 team in our Big Ten power rankings, Minnesota, got off to a good start against Ohio State. Then they were raced out of the house in the second half, losing 45-31. Won some out-of-conference games. Of course, had the big trip to Colorado when the Buffs were coming off a nice effort against Texas A&M, and Minnesota blew them out as an underdog, 30-0. Gave up. We thought Wisconsin was bad, or Illinois against Wisconsin this past weekend. Minnesota held Colorado to 63 yards of total offense. Then they turn around and they lose as a 31-point favorite. 31-point favorite against Bowling Green. Then they rebound on the road against Purdue as a slight underdog, winning against the Boilers 20-13. Coming off the bye, the most important news, both in terms of football and real life for Minnesota, the condition of running back Trey Potts. I just listened to head coach PJ Fleck's news conference. Trey Potts is out indefinitely and most likely will not play football this season. We don't know the severity of his injury. That's between he and his doctors and his family to reveal to the public if they so choose. But Trey Potts had run for 128, 141, 121 the past 3 games. Make that 178, 141, 121. Had run for over 500 yards in 3 games in replacing one of the best in the Big Ten, if not the country, Mo Ibrahim. So Minnesota now down to its 3rd running back. Coming off the bye week, they take on Nebraska. Tanner Morgan, just 52% completion percentage this year after that huge 30-touchdown season 2 years ago. He has not played well. 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. Minnesota at number 6. Climbing up the charts, or they would be if the teams in front of them didn't keep impressing and winning. The Ohio State Buckeyes are 5-1, number 5 in our rankings right now, after demolishing Maryland 66-17. Yes, the positives mostly on offense when you throw up a score like that. C.J. Stroud threw for 5 touchdown passes and 406 yards. Travion Henderson with another 100-yard effort. But how about the defense? 5 sacks on Talia Tagovailoa. And the Ohio State defense only gave up 56 rushing yards, 1.6 yards per carry. Of course, the sacks were factored in. But Ohio State rolling. the last 2 weeks against Rutgers and Maryland, and they've got a bye before they head to Bloomington to take on Indiana. The Buckeyes are at number 5 in the Big Ten. Number 4 is Michigan. The Wolverines now 6-0, escaped the trip to Lincoln, winning 32-29 with 2 late field goals. 6-0 for the first time since 2016. We know what happened that particular season. The Big Ten championship came down to that much in Columbus. Cade McNamara did throw his first interception of his career in this game, but the Wolverines survived. They've got a bye week to rest and heal up and get ready for Northwestern. Let's go to the number 3 team in the Big Ten, and it's cross-state rival Michigan State, also 6-0 in the Big Ten. Michigan State coming off a 31-13 win over Rutgers. Kenneth Walker was magnificent again. 29 carries, 232 yards, and a Michigan State record 94-yard touchdown run. Peyton Thorne didn't complete many passes, but he completed them downfield, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns for him. And the defense gave up just 3.1 yards per carry as Michigan State rolls over Rutgers 31-13. Sparty travels to Bloomington to take on Indiana coming up this Saturday. Our final 2 in the Big Ten are the final 2 that we had last week. Same rundown here. Penn State's at number 2 now. Of course, they went to Iowa, went up 17-3. Sean Clifford got hurt. Take that into consideration. Up against the Hawkeyes, how many times has the Penn State Nittany Lions blown a 2-touchdown lead if they're not playing Ohio State? Well, they did lose the football game after early domination in this one, and they fall to 5-1. Penn State's got a bye week. Then they take on Illinois at home. And, of course, the number 1 team right now in the Big Ten is Iowa, coming off the enormous win against Penn State. The Hawkeyes at 6-0. They take on Purdue this week. After turning over Penn State again, Iowa continues to do this. The defense is remarkable with 4 turnovers this past week, as Iowa remains a top 2 team in the country, number 1 in the Big Ten. Those are our Big Ten power rankings going into Week 7. Would love to hear from you down in the comments section below, right here at the Voice of College Football. Please like the video, share the videos out on social media, and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.